Alright, what's up, guys? So, in preparation for Avengers Doomsday, I decided to watch all of the X-Men movies. So, today we're going to be reviewing and ranking them. I did an entirely separate video on this, just reviewing them, and it came off kind of boring. So, I figured it might be more fun and entertaining if I rank them as well. And this might have been a giant waste of time because while watching these movies, I realized you don't really need to watch all the X-Men movies to really understand them. You could just jump in and be able to understand everything. But it is what it is. And this is also the perfect time because the Avengers Doomsday trailer is coming out in a little over a month, December 19th. So this is the perfect time. All right, let's get started. I hope this mask doesn't sound too echoey. I might have to check in post. No, I'm gonna switch it just to be safe. All right, that's better. All right, let's get started. First things first, you have the first X-Men. I'll put the first X-Men in could have been better. I rated this movie a 4 out of 10. For me personally, it was really boring. The world of the X-Men and the mutants was not set up well at all. And my overall problem with the entire trilogy, you could blame this on X-Men 97 or Deadpool Wolverine or whatever, the suits. I don't really like them. And when it comes to like my problems of the movie, I don't think Logan and Rogue's relationship was set up well enough for Logan to care about Rogue as much as he did at the end of the movie. And one of my questions is Mystique. I don't understand how her powers work. Can she just make herself look like other people, or can she copy their powers as well? Because she copied Wolverine's claws, but I don't really remember her copying anyone else's powers after that. So that was really confusing to me, but that movie definitely could have been better. Now we have X-Men 2. It was a step up. I rated it a 7 out of 10, so I'm gonna put it in average. Mystique, she a little freak. She was trying to have sex with Logan in a tent. That girl weird. It was definitely a step up in the right direction. I think Nightcrawler was executed perfectly. It's not like the later movies where he's a complete joke. But Jean dying, I don't think that was set up well enough. I don't think they explored her character enough for the viewer to really care about her dying. Even like Logan, when he was crying, that made no sense to me because all Logan really had was a crush on her. That's it. And that crush wasn't strong enough for him to be crying that she died. That was dumb. Like Nightcrawler didn't cry when she died because he didn't really know her. It made sense that he was just a little bit saddened that she sacrificed her life to save everyone on the ship. So the only valid reactions was like Storm, Professor Xavier, Cyclops, and again another problem, the suits. Imagine how good Wolverine's yellow and blue suit would have looked while he was on the ice with Stryker. Now we have X-Men The Last Stand. I'm gonna put this one in average as well, but ahead of X2 because I do like it better than X2. I know that may be a hot take, but it is what it is. I really liked it. I know a lot of fans don't like this movie, so while I was watching it, I was expecting not to like it as well, and I ended up loving it. I don't understand why people hate this movie. I love for the whole mutant cure dilemma where some mutants wanted the cure because they felt like that's the only way they could be safe in this world, but other mutants being afraid of the cure because they feel like it's going to be used against them, and the mutants end up defending themselves, which gives the government in the United States or the world even the means to use it as a weapon. I loved all that. But going into my problems, obviously killing off Scott was an atrocious decision, and the Phoenix was rushed. Again, like I said in the X2, her character wasn't executed well enough for the viewer to really care that she died. But Charles's death and everything else, I felt like was executed very, very well. After I watched it, I started reading some reviews on why people disliked it, and most of them said it's because Wolverine was the leader. To which I say, did we watch the same movie? Because he was so obviously not the leader in that movie. It was Storm. Just because Wolverine is the main character does not make him the leader. All he did was just step up, become sort of like a mentor, a teacher. He was not the leader. I rated that movie at 8.5. I really liked it. Now we have X-Men Origins Wolverine. I'll put this one in bad. I rated it a 6 out of 10. Before the 6-year time jump, it really felt like they didn't know what they wanted to do with Wolverine's origin. Obviously, the atrocious adaptation of Deadpool. I hated that they recasted Sabretooth. Yeah, that movie was just overall bad. Now we have X-Men First Class. Maybe a hot take. Moving this to exceptional. I loved this movie. This movie made the original trilogy hit 10 times harder. This movie almost made me cry. That's how good it was. My only problem with this movie is Sebastian being the one to kill Magneto's mother. I feel like if it was just a regular human that did that, that would have made Magneto's motivations 10 times more valid, as if they're not already. Because I felt like Magneto harming other mutants is sort of out of his character, at least from when I was watching it. Now I understand that Magneto's the type of guy to do whatever it takes to protect his kind, but I always did think Magneto's motivations were sort of like this.
You gotta take the kid out. You wanna take him out?
How about I take you out? So I think the movie would have worked better, specifically for Magneto's character, if Sebastian or the man who killed his mother was a human. I rated this a 9 out of 10. I loved it. Now we have the Wolverine. I'll put it in average. The only problem I really have with that movie is the third act with that whole adamantium Iron Man guy. I didn't like that. But I'll give it like a 7 out of 10. It wasn't bad. I have Days of the Future Past. This is also going to exceptional, but I'm gonna keep First Class ahead of it. I rated Days of Future Past 8.5 out of 10. I liked First Class better. I just had less problems with it. Like Kitty Pryde being with Iceman, I hated that because in The Last Stand, Rogue literally got rid of her power so she'll be able to touch Bobby, and then they ended up breaking up anyway. And I know there's a Rogue cut. I didn't watch that one. I just watched the theatrical version, but after I finished the theatrical, I looked up Rogue scenes in the Rogue cut, and I am glad they cut her out. But all of that could have been solved if they just would have cut out Rogue's last little bit in The Last Stand with her returning and being able to touch Bobby. If they cut that part out, this movie would have been a little higher. Now we have X-Men Apocalypse. Do I even need to explain myself? Like, this movie was so bad to the point where I can't even name things that I liked about it. I just have to name my 5 favorite scenes, and the only ones coming to mind right now is when Quicksilver saves the school, when Wolverine breaks out of containment, and maybe the ending when they got the comic accurate suits. But at the same time, I really can't say that because they wasted those comic accurate suits on this dog shit movie. So I hated this movie. I think I rated it a 2 out of 10. It was so bad. Now we have Dark Phoenix. Dog shit. I mean, obviously, again, the Phoenix was rushed, but I do think it was handled a little better. I do know that it was more comic accurate because if I haven't said it already, I'm not the biggest X-Men fan. I didn't know much about the X-Men before this, other than that Cyclops is the leader, Logan's not an original member, Storm's really powerful, Magneto's really powerful, and Charles is really powerful, and Jean becomes evil. That's all I really knew. But again, this movie was really bad. Even Mystique, her dying, I didn't really care because I feel like they ruined her character in Apocalypse by trying to give her this whole hero arc and making her a mentor because all the mutants look up to her now because of her letting go of the guy who created the Sentinels in Days of Future Past. I didn't like that. The only thing I liked about it, and the only reason I'm putting it higher than Apocalypse, is because the choreography and the director. I think he directed this movie beautifully, and I think all the fight scenes were choreographed amazingly. Specifically, the ending, the train scene, I loved that. Now we have Deadpool. But the first one, maybe a little biased, in Superior. I loved the first movie. I gave it an 8 out of 10. Arguably the best superhero origin story. Maybe a little biased. I don't care. Deadpool 2 could have been better. Specifically the theatrical, because I don't think everyone has seen the super duper cut. It could have been better. I don't really think anything worked that well in this movie. And now I understand why it took them so long to make Deadpool 3. I didn't really like it. Now Logan. Superior. Actually, I'll put it ahead of Deadpool. I like it better than Deadpool. 9 out of 10. And I did switch up on this movie because I posted a hot take on my TikTok that this movie was overrated. And everyone in that comment section basically told me to rewatch it. So I did. And I ended up really, really loving it. Only problem I have is that the pacing slowed down once they got to New Mexico or whatever they were going. But then it picked right back up. That's my only problem with that. I really loved it. Deadpool and Wolverine. I'll put it in exceptional. Yeah, right there's fine. I gave it an 8 out of 10. I watched it like 5 times in theaters. I really liked it, but I like the first Deadpool way more. And I do think I like First Class and Days of Future Past more than Deadpool. In terms of like story, obviously Deadpool's more enjoyable, but that's not how I rank my movies. I rank them on plot. And obviously Deadpool and Wolverine had major plot holes. Now we have X-Men 97. I just finished this yesterday, so I'm going to put this in Superior. But I'll put it ahead of Deadpool. Yeah, that's fair. I really love X-Men 97. The only problems I have is when it comes to them killing off characters and then bringing them back. I feel like killing off Magneto. That was major. Episode 5 is my favorite episode. But then finding out that Magneto's alive, or even in the season finale that Gambit may be alive as well. I hated all that. Charles coming back as well. I hated that. If you do something major like that, you have to stand 10 toes down for it. To me, that's the equivalent of in Daredevil Born Again when they killed off Foggy, if they bring him back in season 2. No, you leave him dead. You stand on that. So that's my only problem. But while watching this, I realized that this is how the X-Men's supposed to be. And the X-Men genuinely feel like a family. Way more than the Avengers, the Justice League, even the Fantastic Four. Because to me, after watching this now, that's one of my problems with Avengers or Justice League. They don't feel like a family. They sometimes just feel like coworkers or really close friends. But I really, really liked it. Alright, now I'm going to review this list to make sure that I'm happy with it. Because during my Arrowverse ranking, I realized that I could have moved some things around. So let me see if I want to move some things around real quick. I'm pretty happy with it. The only thing I'm going to change is I'm going to put Deadpool 2 ahead of X-Men, because obviously I did like Deadpool 2 more. The plot wasn't boring, it just wasn't executed well. Whereas X-Men, it wasn't executed well and it was boring. So yeah, that's my ranking of the X-Men universe. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And one more thing, I think I'm going to start focusing more on YouTube. So my new schedule may be Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I'm going to try to see. So possibly expect a video on Friday or Monday. Also, yeah, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Until then, I'll see you guys next week. Bye, guys.